Welcome everyone. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. As we prepare to drill the Madison project with what is going to be the largest drill program and most well-informed drill program ever to date, we're going to talk today about Red Hill. Red Hill is a project in Nevada on the Cortez Trend. And the video that you're going to see is going to feature Ken Cunningham, one of our directors and someone who's been involved in the project for a long time, and Eric Saderholm, who's just returned from a site visit there. I think what you're going to see is going to be very compelling.
The area directly below us is the Carlin Trend, and Nevada is the fourth largest gold producing region in the world, and it produced almost 9% of the world's gold in 2011, and Carlin Trend is the reason for that. You look down below us and you see all that activity and all the mine on an acre per acre basis. This is one of the richest gold endowments anywhere in the world. Very unique. And the gold systems are very big. They're typically multi-million ounce, so we would call those world-class or elephant type of gold deposits. The geologists in the state have been looking for these deposits for the last 60 years, really. And so we've come to understand the geology, the geophysics, the geochemistry, and I like to think of the actual deposits as pearls on a necklace. Every few miles you have another deposit and they line up. The Carlin Trend is the largest of the gold trends in Nevada, but there's a second gold trend that's parallel to it called the Eureka Battle Mountain Trend. It's got large mines on both the north and the south end, but it's the center part of it, which is called the Cortez Trend, which is really gaining some notoriety. In the last 10 years, two major multi-million ounce deposits have been discovered, and so we was really pleased to be participating in this exploration.
In the last 10 years, two big deposits have been found, both Cortez Hills and a 7 million ounce discovery, the Gold Rush, and the geologic community thinks Gold Rush is going to probably be 20 million ounces when everything's said and done, when the drilling's finished this year. So, you know, this area has gone from initially a 1 million ounce district to something in the neighborhood of 40 million ounces, and we're hoping that it'll ultimately rival the Carlin Trend. You've got to drill 100, 200, 300 feet of gravel in these basins before you get to the bedrock, and that's where the new discoveries are coming from. BRH-13 is absolutely the best drill hole in this trend that we know that sits outside of the Barrick holdings. If there's another pearl on this string after Gold Rush, well, next property to the southeast, and that's Red Hill.
Eric, welcome. You just got back from Red Hill about a week ago now. Tell me what you saw. Tell me what you thought.
Well, it's the first time I've been out in that area in a while, but what really impressed me was the location. Obviously, its location along the Cortez Trend, but what really got me was the rocks and the alteration that I saw. The jasperoids, which are geologically a big silica body that's associated along the Carlin Trend and along the Cortez Trend with large ore bodies, is very impressive there. Very impressive. Very large, very well formed. I was surprised in the magnitude of the silica in that rock. It was very good. Targets immediately started to flow into my brain when I went out there.
And so for the viewer, when you're out on these Carlin systems, they're often down deep, right? But seeing that jasperoid, especially jasperoid with barite in it, like that's a kind of a key indicator, correct?
Yes, it is. It's a somewhat unique in and around Carlin systems is that it rarely is it ore in its own self, but it winds up being an indicator of a large system beneath, whether that be hundreds of feet in oxide or whether that be deeper. And both of the trends lately in the last, say, 15 or 20 years have really evolved into drilling deeper into the favorable rock units that used to host the open pits. So largely both of those trends have become underground exploration. Obviously, if you're going to define an underground target, you're going to have to drill deeper. Recently, the Nevada Gold Mines has drilled in the 5,500 to 7,000 foot range, which shows that you can go very deep looking for this style of target.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, this hasn't been drilled that deep by any stretch. The best hole that we've seen is from Barrick in 2006. That was 24 meters of 4.99 grams, including 13.7 meters of 8 grams, starting just below 600 meters. Talk to me about that depth. What did it mean then? What does it mean now?
Well, 20 years ago or so, when that hole was drilled, that would have been interpreted as a relatively deep hole. Right now, it's a relatively shallow hole. In other words, if you went and drilled that hole again or somewhere around it, you would certainly put another 1,000 feet or 300 meters on that to test the depths of the system. The favorable rock units there are present. They're mapped at the surface. The deeper, really good hosts apparently are a little bit deeper than that. So the philosophy of any company out there right now drilling is going to have to be drill a little bit deeper, and you'll probably have something pay off quite nicely.
And so, for a viewer who's doesn't have the geologic knowledge of yourself, think layer cake. This got down to maybe the fourth layer. The layers below it, what are they called? How much do they host? What type of mines that are close by are in those band of rocks?
Well, the wind band is the preferred host out on the Cortez Trend, or it hosts a lot of the mineralization that's currently in production. But there are other units as well that are chemically identical, so their depositional environment is very, very similar. On the Carlin Trend, it's the Roberts Mountains Formation, which hosts a tremendous amount of the mineralization, and the Popovich. Those have really not been tested at Red Hill at all. They are there. We know they've been drilled deeper up by other companies up to the north. It's just there they have not been tested. So that kind of expression of having that kind of grade in rocks that aren't as good of a host, it just tells you that you really just need to go deeper to encounter these other units.
This property package that we have, can it, from the size of it, can it host a 5-10 million ounce deposit if it's there?
Yes, given the grades that say Fourmile right now is encountering, and the deeper drill holes along the Carlin Trend historically, when you're getting into the 10 plus gram range, you can put a lot of mineralization into a relatively small footprint. That there are some holes out at Red Hills certainly, but they were from a bygone era of drilling 400 or 500 feet, and that's just not deep enough to test these prolific lower targets.
And so this is 79 claims. This is 1,600 acres. So it's got that size that it can hold a big Cortez deposit, Carlin style deposit. You mentioned Fourmile. Fourmile has been Barrick's new baby. We'll get to that in a second. Give me your thoughts on Fourmile. Where is it hosted? How big can it be? What was known about it 20 years ago? What's known about it today? Walk us through that. And then we'll play a clip from Mark Bristow of Barrick to comment, get his thoughts on it. But please, you go ahead first.
Well, Fourmile's interesting, and it's in and around other pits, and the structures that have dictated the mineralization or have allowed for the mineralization to form have been known for a while. Once again, it was drilling deeper and drilling, not really knowing exactly what you're going to hit, but just testing targets that made sense to test. When they got into that, it's a little bit unique in the fact that it's a high grade breccia zone. It's single refractory, which makes it very attractive to process throughout the state. So it's a very good, very important discovery that's continuing to increase as we talk. They have several drills out there. When it's all said and done, this is going to be multiple tens of millions of ounces. That's my prediction. I think that will come true.
Let's take a second here, and I'm going to show a clip from Mark Bristow, who is the CEO of Barrick, from the Denver Gold Show, talking about Fourmile and its importance for Barrick.
And then there's Fourmile. Quite simply, as I said at the Courtleys, the greatest gold discovery of the century. To put it in context, Goldstrike Underground, the foundational mine that created Barrick, produced 13 million ounces at over 10 grams a ton from its underground project. Fourmile has the potential to be significantly larger and at even higher grades. This is the kind of discovery that redefines a company.
Eric, strong words from a from Mark Bristow there on Fourmile for sure.
Well, I think he was onto something, and he doesn't throw that kind of praise around if he doesn't really believe in it. So, and his prognostications are coming true as we speak. It just continues to grow the more they drill.
Yeah, let's get back to Red Hill and how it may compare to Fourmile. You mentioned that it's single refractory. Talk about the hole that Barrick drilled. I think it's BH13. Uh, was that single refractory? What ore type was that in? What like are we're above the wind band? Where are we in that context?
Where we're in the equivalent of the wind band, but the wind band has many phases and many parts of it that can run mineralization quite nicely. So what the real target I think is below the wind band. So I think we just tacked that hole just tagged in to the top of something. It impresses me as a breccia that's just mainly a structural rather than lithologic, which means you need to drill deeper to see where you can find the flatter lying ore bodies. A single refractory versus double refractory just indicates that you have sulfide rather than carbon, and carbon can be kind of a problem when you're processing. That makes it unique. It also makes us look a lot like Fourmile because it is sulfidic. There's no carbon within the mineralization. It would process quite nicely. So it is that's an uh, important fact to point out.
You had pointed out to me that this hole gave you a great deal of excitement. You go out to site, you find a 15 feet of jasperoid sticking out 3/4 of a mile away. Talk to me about what your thoughts on Red Hill are today after being there, and what your sort of belief on the project is, and we'll end on that.
Well, after going out there, I was impressed more than I thought I was going to be honest. I hadn't been in that region for quite a while. The amount of ground between where that hole was drilled and this jasperoid is pretty expansive and pretty much right in the middle of the claim block that we control. So I would, from an exploration standpoint, put a little more context to what's controlling that breccia to try to figure out exactly the structural configuration and then just drill deep holes. I would drill a hole probably 3,000 feet or so. I think that would be an adequate test to get you to the Roberts Mountains, which could be highly, highly mineralized in that area.
Yeah. This is where the big discoveries are made at this part of Nevada. I know you've been involved in a lot of them. Maybe just give for the people that are watching this kind of your background on Carlin Cortez and some of the things that you've seen out there. I know you got a chance to go and view one of Barrick's big mines while you're out there as well.
Yes, we had the privilege to go tour the Gold Strike area. Actually, the whole Carlin Trend. Really, we they ran us along to see all the open pits, and I've worked out there. I'm pretty familiar with it. It's obviously every time you go out there, it's bigger and things have changed a bit. But that's a hugely productive area, and that's mainly because of the Leeville deposit and some of the underground Barrick, the historic undergrounds. Leeville was the one that was just a spot here, a spot there, a hole here, a hole there 25 years ago, and now it's 20 million ounces plus or minus. So that's the kind of target that I think presents itself here, without a doubt.
Fantastic. Appreciate it, Eric. And look forward to some heavy drilling down at Madison, and then we'll get on to some more excitement down at Red Hill.
We certainly will.